Hello, mysterious person behind the screen, and welcome back to the Spider-Man series of audio commentaries, once again joined by Isaac.
Hello there.
And we are back with the latest live-action Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Far From Home. So, without further ado...
If you'd like to sync this up with your own copy of Spider-Man Far From Home, put the film to the start and press play in 3, 2, 1, go. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this your least favourite Spider-Man film and MCU film?
Well, it's definitely my least favourite MCU film. My least favourite Spider-Man film... I think objectively Amazing Spider-Man 2 is worse. But yeah, we'll get into various reasons for why I don't enjoy this.
I'll admit it's refreshing to hear a different MCU film other than Thor: The Dark World being the worst one.
Well, yeah, Thor: The Dark World is often named as the worst, and especially since Endgame came out, I don't hate that.
For me, it's just fine. It's like it's light, fluffy entertainment for an hour and a bit, and it does its job, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I had to pick my least favourite MCU, I'd probably go with Iron Man 2, which I don't hate, but it's just doesn't really go anywhere, to be honest, for me.
To be honest, I don't think I've said it before. I don't think the MCU has ever made an outright terrible film.
Yeah, true, because I've never walked out of an MCU film so far and thought, wow, that was utterly terrible. Because I just think some have been weaker than others, but also, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of Spider-Man, have you seen Topher Grace's comments about Far From Home recently?
I have, yeah. He did a literally, I think yesterday, as we're recording this, he did a Reddit AMA and just completely trolled everyone.
Oh god, what was it? It was like, are you in the new Spider-Man film? Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's when Peter doesn't want anyone to know his identity, so he gets Doctor Strange to change all that for him, and I come out of a big spirally hole, I fight Tom Hardy's Venom, and I kick his ass, obviously, and then I team up with all the other villains, and Batman comes in. Not Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck. Perfect response, because there's probably someone out there who took it seriously.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so, point number one. I hate this montage. This I Will Always Love You montage.
What is that? What is that picture of Vision? Everyone else gets like high HD pictures. He gets like a pixel 144p. Like, was he really? Did people hate him that much?
Well, I think the intention is to make it look like it's somebody's low res cell phone photo, but it is a screenshot from the film that they've just touched up in Photoshop.
I mean, Vision is one of those who fell. Is he though? Thanks to WandaVision.
Well, that's very true. But no, yeah, this whole thing. I remember in the cinema just thinking, this is setting the tone. This whole thing is played as a comedy bit. The fact that everyone died for 5 years.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but that scene there where they're in like the sports hall and they fade away and you hear people screaming, like, wow, that just sounds so real and natural. But then, they just make jokes about it, like, lol, he's actually 16, not 21. He can't drink alcohol.
I know.
Comedy gold.
And like this whole film centers around you being invested in Peter Parker's grief over Tony Stark, but the very first thing this film does after the Marvel logo is make a joke out about the fact that he's dead. And it's just like, well, if the film isn't taking it seriously, how am I expected to take anything about this seriously?
Yeah.
But visually, a lot nicer than Homecoming.
It is, yeah.
Much
Particularly with the
nicer.
Mysterio sequence, it just feels like you've stepped into a Jack Kirby. Is that his
Mm.
name?
Yes, yeah,
Jack.
Steve
Jack.
Ditko esque.
Oh, Steve Ditko. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Steve Ditko illustration, and it's great. And there's no Stan Lee cameo in this, is there? He
he had.
died before he did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he had passed away before this, I
I,
think.
I mean, I think it's fitting that his last one was Avengers Endgame.
Yes, it's a nice end of an era kind of thing, especially biggest film ever. Um,
Yeah,
it makes
definitely.
sense. And the colours as well. It's a very colourful film. I like it.
It is, yeah, and particularly because we do go Europe hopping around, so it does help keep it visually interesting. And yeah, one thing I do like is that Peter, in each of these films so far, he's had a different love interest. I do like
Yeah,
that. It's different enough from previous Spidey films where it was pretty much always the same person, but
yeah,
here it feels like a natural progression because I mean, it wasn't true for me, but teenagers are like that. They'll have a girlfriend or a boyfriend for 5 months, and then move on to someone else.
yeah. That's generally the way things go, especially in high school. It's just like, oh, right. Last time I saw you, are you still with this person? Oh no, that was two boyfriends ago. It's like, oh right, okay.
Yeah,
I only spoke to you last week, but fair enough. Yeah, it's okay. So dealing with the consequence of the blip, homeless support. This is great,
yeah,
but
that's good.
like this is what a 5 second moment, and then in a minute we're gonna get a joke about Aunt May high fiving Spider-Man in the back and her going out with Happy Hogan, and it's just like, okay, well,
I know.
pick a lane, please. I'm
Pick a
very
tone, please stick with it.
yeah, exactly. I'm glad that the Disney Plus shows, well, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, has it explored the consequences of the blip, like the genuine
Yeah,
consequences for
yeah. I've
the
heard
human
it talks
beings.
about. I've not seen it, but I've heard it like touches upon ideas like PTSD
Oh, yeah,
and I don't know what else you can call that, but yeah.
yeah. No, I mean,
Um,
one of the scenes is like, not to spoil anything. It isn't really a spoiler, but it's like, one of our major characters has to is having major money troubles because during the blip they weren't alive, and so they've
oh,
got no money. So it taps
okay.
into that, and that's cool. That's genuine stakes, but it also it never feels downbeat, and it's like this.
Yeah,
Oh, my blip beer, my
'cause
blip
I
beer.
think
Fuck off.
because it's something that does annoy me about these Spider-Man films. They take major events in the MCU and play it for laughs.
Yeah,
Like in Homecoming, you had the Captain America video, and they're like, "Yeah, this guy's a war criminal, but whatever. Just watch the video."
yeah, yeah,
Just like, I mean. You could argue, is that supposed to be the point? Because it's supposed to be your average person, and what does the average person do when a major event happens in the
yeah.
world? They make memes about it. Because
That
I
is
mean,
true.
I'll hold my hands up high. I've made so many memes about COVID,
Oh, same.
and I'm sure everyone else has.
Well,
So, is it
it's.
supposed to be like that, or
I think so. I guess. Well, just to cope with certain things, you do make jokes about it, right? It's just human nature. But
Mhm.
I think at a point, there's something to be
There's
said
a
for,
limit?
yeah, and there's something to be said for keeping up the stakes of your story. And when you can't
Mhm.
really take anything seriously because everything is being turned into a joke, I think that's the issue I have.
Mhm.
And it's yeah, and just at the end of the last film, obviously not the last film in the MCU, but the last Spider-Man film, we had Aunt May finding out Peter's secret identity. It was played for laughs there, but you'd think that they play into the consequence of that. No, she's totally fine with her son doing this.
She's like his manager or some
hmm
shit like that.
She, she
Yay!
she's totally fine with her son doing this, and she's totally fine with her son doing this after he died for 5 years.
But didn't she die as well?
Well, she died as
Because
well, yeah, but
wasn't she blipped as well? Yeah.
yeah, it's established that she blipped as well. But it's just like, well, I feel like she that's just that doesn't work for me. Like, no matter which way I look at it, that is not realistic to me. And far be it from me to complain about realism in a Spider-Man film, but it's just weird to me.
Mm.
I can't get my head around it.
Yeah, because a criticism I do hear about these Spider-Man films is oh, they're just making him Iron Boy, and part of me wants to agree, but a lot of me wants to disagree as well.
I think the term that is always used is Iron Boy Junior, which I don't think is a really... I'm not a huge fan of that term, to be fair, but it is, it's difficult because the films are constantly saying, oh, he needs to be his own hero, but they're constantly putting him in Iron Man-esque situations and giving him Iron Man villains and giving him
because technically
all sorts.
I mean, Mysterio is literally, oh, what's he called in Iron Man 3? Aldrich Killian?
Yeah.
He's literally Aldrich Killian, but I'd argue he has done better than that film. And I do like the twist in Iron Man 3, yeah.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, minor spoiler for Shang-Chi, but yeah. I'm so glad they brought back Ben Kingsley for that. It got so much laughs from me in the cinema.
I love Trevor Slattery.
If those monkeys can act, surely I've got a chance as well.
Now I realise they weren't riding the horses. They were just acting like they were riding the horses. That's brilliant. That's so hard. Have you seen the Hail to the King short film?
No, I haven't. No, he's in that, isn't he?
That's it's a 10-minute short film about Trevor Slattery in prison. And Justin Hammer's in it from Iron Man 2 as well, in the same prison. So it's just, it's great.
He's underage drinking because of the blip.
But yeah,
seriously, how is Flash supposed to be a bully? Like, did any of these writers go to high school? Like, bullying is not just that. It's way worse.
Well, it's way worse, and also it's never usually one person. There is usually a group of absolute dickheads.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's like, oh, everyone's... Well, I guess that's another fucking problem, is that the fact that they're really... They go hard on this whole thing of like, oh, high school kids going on an adventure. Look at this endearing group of kids. Apart from Peter, Ned, and MJ, and I guess if you really stretch it, Betty and Flash, none of these are characters. They are walking vessels of human flesh to just spew out a joke every now and then.
I mean, again, to quote Sam Gavin, I don't agree with him fully on these films. He did say this about Homecoming. Anyone who says this is a John Hughes movie is talking out of their arse. And I have to agree. Just because it's set in high school, that doesn't automatically make it a John Hughes film.
Yeah, and I just feel like you could really build up this really endearing group of kids that you like watching. But like I said, none of them are characters. They literally just exist to just spew out unfunny lines every now and then.
Exactly, yeah.
To make sure that
they could have gone for a real
depressed, and it's just like
they could have gone for a real Goonies vibe or something like that.
Exactly. But they don't. They're more interested in making sure the audience doesn't feel depressed, and it's just. Oh.
Also the teacher, isn't it funny? He's old, he's out of touch.
Yeah.
How many times can we hammer this joke in?
He's not really that old either. He's
no, he looks like he's in his mid-30s, so...
Okay, well...
I do think it's cool that Tom Holland and Zendaya, they're dating in real life, aren't they?
Yeah, so literally every Spider-Man actor has been in a relationship with their lead, with their female lead.
Why was Tobey Maguire in a relationship with Kirsten Dunst?
They dated briefly in between the first two
films.
films.
Nice.
So, it didn't last long, but yeah, they were together for a brief period, so... Yeah,
nice.
You've completed the trifecta there. I like that as well, that idea of having documentaries about Tony Stark.
That's a great detail, yeah.
Because that would happen. That is something that would happen in the real world.
Yeah, and again, it's something I think Winter Soldier did really well. Steve Rogers is witnessing himself become more or less an icon. He's part of a museum exhibit.
Yeah. Also, if you... this happens in films all the time. People walk out of... You have that scenario where he walks out the toilet, sees MJ, then goes back in and kind of does his hair and stuff. That is just... If I was MJ, I'd find that creepy as shit.
Yeah,
that's really weird.
Why did he go back in?
Oh, and look, okay, so this Ned and Betty thing. I find that it's quite funny initially, because that's just what high school kids are like. But at the same time, they drag this joke out and they never evolve it. They just keep
exactly. It's just the same. It's just the same punchline over and over again, and it just doesn't work.
And it, like I said, it kind of makes me laugh this first time they do it, but then they beat you over the head with it, and they never evolve the joke. They never put a spin on it. They never pay it off. It just. I
mean, let's try and be a bit more positive. I do like Peter's arc in this, because, again, I do think it ties into the theme of responsibility. Does he be a carefree teenager and go on his high school trip, or does he actually save the day? When is it the limit of stop being Spider-Man? Can Spider-Man take a vacation or a holiday? And while I was all for Homecoming being, quite small scale and the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, I do like how his identity is revealed at the end, mainly because of how it links to Mysterio, because, again, he's the master of illusions, and he's now created the illusion that Peter Parker and Spider-Man is a villain, is an evil villain who wanted to be the hero and not Cher.
Yeah. No, yeah, I like that arc in the broad strokes, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like the broad strokes of that arc. Yeah, certain details, especially later on, going into the third act, I think that's where I have issues, but I like the broad strokes of it.
This reminds me of that scene from Moonraker where he gets into a gondolier and it literally goes on land, and there's zero explanation of how that happens.
I was going to say it's like the bit from Moonraker.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And we have the double take pigeon and the classic drunk man dropping a bottle of wine.
Mm.
To be fair, though, the same year this film came out, a few months before, I went on a abroad trip with my college, and
nice.
The teachers were pretty much as useless as they are depicted in this film. So it does make sense. Like, they never booked anything that we were supposed to go to, like attractions. So we got to places and it was all just booked up and we couldn't actually go anywhere. So stuff like that. Stuff like that. So.
One of them said pizza time.
Pizza time.
I'll say this, that's relatable when you see your crush, as a teenager, you see your crush with another boy. That's so soul-destroying.
Oh, yeah. It's just the worst feeling in the world, right?
It is, yep.
I don't know if you saw then, did you catch the... Oh, I might have missed it, and it might be later. There's a Quentin Beck cameo in this, isn't there? Like, Quentin Beck, Jake Gyllenhaal, appears in the background. Like,
oh right, as a different character, or just as Mysterio?
As Mysterio, like watching Peter.
Oh,
like,
nice.
I think it was a minute ago, but it's a cool detail, and
no.
yeah, it's not drawn attention to. Like, he's in a cap and sunglasses, and he kind of puts the sunglasses down a bit, and then continues walking, which is quite cool.
That's a nice detail, yeah.
Very cool. And
Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, I think, is terrific. And yeah, I hope he
Great.
comes back for Far From Home because, yeah, as I've said before, you could easily make the Sinister Six with all the villains they're bringing back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And someone actually made a joke that, you know that scene in the trailer where the pumpkin bomb drops and you hear that goblin laugh? Someone's joked, oh no, what if it's Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin?
Peter. So, I don't know if you remember, but the Lego sets for these monsters called them Sandman, Hydro Man, and Molten Man, which obviously are established characters. And I don't know. I don't know if this is meant to be Hydro Man or whether it's just meant to be a random illusion. But
well, in the Far From Home trailer, you can see like sand or dust blowing around, and obviously people have theorized that it could be Sandman, but yeah, what if it's just Mysterio using using the illusionists again?
Exactly, yeah. This is quite a Spider-Man thing, I left my suit in the hotel room, so
he'd do that because he says I'm on vacation.
Yeah, so he now has to have this kind of scramble to not be seen. That's fun.
I mean, I remember a criticism when this came out. Someone said, why would Tony Stark leave all his fortune and technology to a kid he only just met? Why wouldn't he leave it to War Machine, like James Rhodes, his best friend? Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, they're best friends, but they're completely different people. James Rhodes is not a scientific man. He has no real love of science. He's a military man. Whereas Peter, the reason for that is that Tony sees a lot of himself in Peter, so it makes sense why he would leave his vast, well, not fortune, but technology to him.
Yeah, it does make sense. I don't love that it happens, but it makes sense. it does make sense.
Yeah.
It's the same when in Endgame people are like, oh, why didn't he give the shield to Bucky? And it's like, well, Bucky is, at this point in time, known to the world as a massive war criminal. I mean, I thought Bucky would have taken up the Captain America mantle, but yeah, I suppose it makes sense for Falcon too as well. Well, they deal with it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. It delves into the whole thing of how important it was that he gave the shield to a black man, given the history of the way black men are treated in America and everything. It delves into all that, and it's quite. Since then, I haven't seen many people complaining about that. It kind of addressed the criticism.
apart from the numpties who probably think it's part of a white man replacement strategy.
True. Yes.
Yeah, probably piss off those, but that's good. I think doesn't Aunt May call Peter later after this battle and say, "Wasn't that Doctor Strange or something?" And it makes sense that an average person would say, "Hey, is that one of the Avengers? Is it a hero?" Yeah. And Doctor Strange is mentioned again because I think Peter asked him, "Why don't you ask Doctor Strange?" He's like, "He's unavailable."
Yeah.
You didn't check the website. Oh yeah. Do you get it? They're old. They're out of touch.
Fun.
I mean, come on, teachers aren't that useless.
Yeah. That's what I mean. The jokes are just. I have no problem with humour in a film. Come on. I have no problem with jokes in a Spider-Man film, especially. But it's just like when the jokes have to make sense and they have to be funny. Mm-hmm. And and it's just, like I said, it just takes away from any sort of stakes. But it's like, I know people will argue that it's like, well, the jokes in Avengers are the same, and I'm like, well, no, the jokes in Avengers come from the characters and how they interact.
Exactly, yeah, their interactions off each other.
Yeah, and it feels natural. I'm thinking of the bit where Cap is trying to repair the generator, and Tony's like, "Oh, what do you see?" And he goes, "Well, it appears to run on some form of electricity." That's funny because that's that's the character of Captain America. That's what he'd do given the context and the surroundings. And it doesn't stop the film to tell a joke. It doesn't take away from the stakes of what's happening. It's just a nice little bit of reprieve. But yeah. And to
I really like.
Yeah,
I'll just say, to the film's credit, I do like how they marketed Mysterio, because they didn't reveal his twist, which I'm glad they didn't, because it's a real. It worked, I think, for the two sides of fans. Say if you were a casual viewer, you had no idea who Mysterio was, you'd think, oh, he could be another hero to help Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You might not think of him as the villain, but if you are a Spider-Man fan and you know that he does that he is a villain, then it does leave you wondering for the film. So why is Mysterio good then? Why is he doing these heroic things if he's supposed to be a Spider-Man bad guy? But it makes sense because he is an illusionist.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'll say that I do like this where they read BuzzFeeds and everything on the internet, because again, it's people believing what Mysterio wants them to believe.
It does make a lot of sense, and that's I like that as well. The being a man of science, witches. That's I quite like that. That's quite funny. I mean,
please stop it.
It's just and like, I don't want to pull this card because it takes away from a lot of major issues, but the treatment of Aunt May in these MCU films is kind of sexist. It
is a bit, because they just keep playing the same joke of how young she is. Like, it was fine in Civil War because he just said, it's hard to believe that she's someone's aunt.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, it's just a joke that, she looks quite young, given that we've had the two previous Aunt Mays have been quite old women, but again, they just beat it into the ground as much as they can.
And it's like she only exists to be the object of affection to every male character apart from Peter. And it's just, okay, well, I guess that's what Aunt May is now.
I do like that bit of irony there with Flash.
Yes.
What's wrong with Spider-Man? He's awesome. What's up, dickwad?
That is classic Flash Thompson. That is, right back to the comics. That's Flash. I like it. Do you remember in the trailers though, when it was played in front of like PG films, there was this really awkward overdub of that. Do you remember? It was just like, "What's up, loser?" I just remember being in the cinema.
I don't remember that, no.
Yeah, I remember being in the cinema for a PG film, and I just remember hearing, "What's up, loser?" And it was just this really bad overdub.
Speaking of PG-rated trailers, I remember seeing Captain America Civil War in the cinema, and I swear there was like a condom advert before the film was showing. I thought, there's kids in the audience,
Yeah. It's like you hear those stories about them, theaters accidentally playing trailers for horror films in front of like the new Pixar film or something.
Yeah.
God. So did you know that gun is entirely CGI that Nick Fury is holding? Yeah, and he's on a green screen in that chair as well.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Was Samuel L. Jackson really that unavailable?
No idea. No idea. It's just well, it doesn't bother me because it's not noticeable, but sometimes I feel like we're stepping back into that
honestly,
Star Wars prequel territory where it's just they use CGI for everything.
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea until you pointed it out.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me because it isn't obvious, but I just worry that we're getting back into that kind of prequel era where they were just too ambitious with the CGI and they used it for everything.
I just realised 2019, it really was the year of Nick Fury, wasn't it? Because he had a big role in Captain Marvel. No, it was only a cameo in Endgame, but yeah, again, he's kind of playing a big role in this film, and it amazes me how much of a gap he had between appearances, because The last film he appears in is Age of Ultron, and obviously he's in the post-credit scene for Infinity War when he fades away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it surprises me that he wasn't in Civil War, that maybe he should have been the General Ross role, but that might not have fitted.
Well, I quite like that though, because it meant that there was always a collective cheer from the audience whenever Samuel L. Jackson appeared. It was just it was great to see him.
Yeah. I'll admit, I do think this joke works, where he's trying to Nick Fury's trying to tell him his mission, and he's getting interrupted by friends and teachers because he's still a kid.
That's kind of, I don't mind that. That's pretty cool. And given the twist in the post-credit scene, there is a degree of rewatchability to this, given that we know that Nick Fury is a Skrull for a lot of this.
So, has Nick Fury been a Skrull all this time, or is it just a copy?
It is implied. Well, I guess the post-credit scene implies that he has just been on the ship in space for ages. I guess since.
Yeah.
So this is
so this is a Skrull replacement then.
Yeah, to not get anyone suspicious, I guess. And also, didn't they say that Maria Hill was a Skrull, or am I imagining that?
I'm
remember.
sure they said that, yeah, because I'm sure she takes off her mask at the end.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, I remember the massive amount of outrage when they said in the trailer that Mysterio was from another universe, Earth 616, because Earth 616 is the comic universe. That's like the mainline universe in the comics is 616, and I think the MCU is like Earth 116 something. I don't know, it's numbers. But I remember everyone was like, "Oh, 616 is the MCU just replacing the comics?" And everyone was outraged about it. Thankfully, we know that he's talking bollocks. But it was just the fact that he was like, "Oh yeah, this is Earth 616," and it's like, okay, I really hope they don't just replace the comics as the main universe. But
because I mean, what would you say kind of had more of an impact on the whole multiverse thing that's kind of going on in superhero films now? Would you say Into the Spider-Verse or this? Because well, it's not predominantly about multiverse, as it does touch upon the idea, and this did make $1 billion.
Well, it did make $1 billion, yeah. I think it was Spider-Verse, though, because Spider-Verse was, I think, the first time that a mainstream audience...
It was basically the main...
exposed.
Yeah, it was basically the main plot of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe the Lego movie? No, I think Spider-Verse is the first time like a mainstream audience has been exposed to the idea of the multiverse.
Definitely, yeah.
So
I mean, was it ever a thing in comic books? Like, did they ever meet different Spider-Mans or different Iron Mans or things like that?
The Spider-Verse concept started as a game. It started as the game Shattered Dimensions brings together 4 different Spider-Men. Then that was used as an inspiration for the comic book story Spider-Verse, and then it became the film. But the multiverse has been in Marvel comics and comics in general for years. Like Ultimate Spider-Man is a different universe to Amazing Spider-Man and things like that. They're different universes, but it's they've already they delved into it for a few years. But Spider-Verse in the comics was really the big one that was like, yeah, we're crossing everything over. Also, he says Captain Marvel there. She's never named in her own film, is she?
I don't think so, no.
They never say Captain Marvel in Captain Marvel, funnily enough.
Heck, I think in Avengers Endgame they just call her Carol, is that it?
Yeah, they just call her Carol.
Yeah. I mean, what was I going to say? Yeah, I love that. Don't invoke her name. Yeah, like, she'll only come if I feel like she needs to be called, yeah. It does amaze me. 2018, that was a massive year for Spider-Man because we
Oh
got
yeah, year of Spidey.
yeah, he appeared in Infinity War, got his own video game on the PS4, and Into the Spider-Verse. But
Yeah.
yeah, 2019 also another big year for him because of this film and Endgame.
It's a great time to be a Spider-Man fan at the moment. We're sort of, as much as I'm not really a fan of this interpretation of the character, we're getting so many different versions of the character these days, and there's something for everyone to enjoy, I think, which is great. And a stark contrast to like a few years ago, like 2014 was a dark time for Spider-Man.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that because of Amazing Spider-Man, the uncertainty of its future.
Yeah, that film series was bombing. The games were bombing. Oh
yeah, because they had tie-in video games, didn't they? Those films, I remember.
And they weren't being successful at all. In one of the comics, he was possessed by Dr. Octopus, and in another one of the comics, he was dead. So it was just like a bad time.
I mean, is that from the 2014 comics? That image of Spider-Man like bleeding and Captain America holding him in his arms?
That's from Civil War, I think.
Oh right, okay.
Because I could be wrong actually. No, I think that is from Civil War. But also this film writes Peter like an idiot. Especially in this bit where he puts the glasses on and accident. I never thought we'd get a Spider-Man film where he orders a drone strike on his
class.
That's
because I mean, there's ways of showing him adapting to the technology, and then there's just him being an idiot, and this is just him being an idiot.
It's one of the weirdest, like.
It'd be like if Maguire's Spider-Man just thought, "Oh, cool! I can shoot web, shoot all these random people, shoot."
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those, and it's just one of those things. It's like I never thought Spider-Man would be this. I never thought that. Speak to me a few years ago and say that there'd be a legitimate Spider-Man film in which he orders a drone strike on his classmates. I'd have thought you were mad. I never thought we'd get to this. I never thought we'd be this. We'd be here, but I guess we are. And like this as well. That bit with Flash there, you saw a mother. I've not heard from your father in days. And then at the end, nobody's there to meet him at the airport, and it's played as this joke. That's not a joke. That's fucking sad.
That is sad.
Really sad. His parents.
I feel a bit bad there.
Yeah, his parents are neglectful, and they don't. And it's played as a background joke.
I know.
They could do so much, and like I'm not asking for a depressing psychological study of these characters, but I don't know.
That joke, it reminds me, there was this CBBC programme called Stupid.
Yes.
And I hope if you remember that. Funnily enough, one of the sketches was this kid trying to get his parents divorced so he could get like 2 sets of presents for birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, as a one-off sketch, it could be funny, but it's like played out throughout the series. I'm like, this isn't funny. Divorces can mess people up, especially kids.
Yeah, definitely. And oh my god, this as well. This is just like, what the why are we going on this tangent of this weird comedy bit with Peter being caught?
Like, take off your clothes, like,
It's weird. It's really weird. And this Brad character, like, who the fuck is he? Like, I just. Oh, yeah, he cringeworthy.
You know what would have made more sense if it was Flash.
Yeah.
Why not have Flash be interested in MJ? You practically. Why do we need Brad? You tell us. Oh, he got affected by the blip, and now he's 5 years older. But who gives a fuck? We've never seen him before.
Exactly. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, if it was
Jesus Christ.
I mean, if it was Ned who was affected by say, didn't die in the blip and now he was 5 years older, that could have been interesting. Peter's now best friends with someone who's technically now more mature, and like that could have been interesting. But Brad, who the fuck are you?
It's the fact that they have they have to deal with these consequences, but these films make every effort to avoid the consequences as much as possible. Like they don't want to address any of the consequences at all. They just want to make you laugh, and that's fine, I guess. But it's just, Spider-Man is a superhero that's always been about the drama, and that's kind of built into the character. I don't know.
I mean, I know it sounds like I've ragged on this film a lot, but I do want to stress I do really like it.
I know, you really like it.
But I suppose, my problems do come from the comedy.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I've been criticising so far. Because, a lot of it I do really like. I think it is great to have, the theme of Spider-Man going on holiday. When does he take a break? Is he worthy enough to be the next big superhero that the world can look up to? Because Tony Stark, he never kept his identity a secret. He was just like, I am Iron Man. The entire world knew that. So is he ready for that? Which is a nice idea, I think, for a Spider-Man film. But again, the comedy is just ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Usually the MCU can do really good comedy, but it backfires here.
It's like I said earlier, that all the comedy in the Avengers works because it's natural. In most of the films, it works because it's all natural.
Infinity War and Endgame, they're dark films because Infinity War ends in failure, but the comedy still works in that. I still laugh at the jokes, and I'm still moved by the terrible, terrible failure of an ending that they all go through.
Exactly, because they endear you. The comedy in those films, when it works, endears you to the characters. This isn't endearing; it's fucking annoying. And baby mountain goats, where? This isn't how people behave. This is not how people
teenagers. Behave. Not even a 5-year-old.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm primarily with Key Stage 1 children. They would not care about fucking mountain goats.
And look, this film writes teenagers as though they're like 10 years old or some shit like that. It's just when this film came out, I wasn't that much older than these characters are supposed to be. And none of this fucking feels accurate at all to how I behaved at that age. At all. None of it feels accurate. It feels like some boardroom depiction of what old people think teenagers are like. And just that drone scene's probably one of the most misjudged and weirdest scenes in any Spider-Man film I've ever it's really weird.
The hotel does look really nice.
Yeah. I quite like. I know the teachers are like unrealistically ridiculous, but I do like the fact that they are just. They keep being updated and given these new locations on their trip, and they just are continuously flustered with it. I find that quite funny.
Would have been nice if they said, "Oh wow, I guess the school really does care about our future."
Yeah,
could have been a nice jab at the education system.
Yeah,
what it's like a lot of the time. I mean, a lot of the time, I'd say it's like Principal Skinner in The Simpsons. Oh, come on, Edna, we both know these children have no future.
That was quite a nice transition there. That's quite cool.
Now, as I said earlier, I do think the Mysterio twist here is the Mandarin twist from Iron Man 3 done right. And I do like the Mandarin twist in that film, but the thing is, I don't think Aldrich Killian's plan was as interesting as, say, a wizard terrorist that they were setting up.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But here, I think Mysterio's plan for what his ultimate endgame for what his plan is, I think it's more interesting than him just being a a being from another multiverse trying to do the right thing. And yeah, that's what twists. It's a great example, I think, of a villain twist being done right, because the twist has to be more interesting than what you were setting up. It's why a lot of say Disney villain or Pixar villain twists aren't particularly great a lot of the time.
That is cool. I do appreciate that. I mean, I think what I like about the Iron Man 3 one is that the twist is shocking to Tony, because it says to him that it plays into the whole thing that they keep repeating in that film of we create our own demons, and in that case he literally has created this monster, and I think it's more resonant to the characters than this twist is, but I think structurally it's probably a better twist. Like you say, it's more interesting than what they're setting up, which is cool.
The only thing better than that is Ben Kingsley's one-liners like the Mandarin is not real, I'm an actor.
I'm an actor.
Well, isn't the real Mandarin in Shang-Chi, isn't he?
Well, yeah, Wen Wu is sort of implied to be,
the Mandarin.
He says like, oh, typical. They the most creative name they can come up with for me is a dish. Food, Mandarin, so that's quite funny. They've paid off that 8-year-old twist, which I find quite amusing. But yeah, you want something, take it. Although the guns aren't real because the wankers wouldn't trust me with any real ones.
I love that. Yeah. Heck, I'm surprised, as brief as it was, Abomination popped up in Shang-Chi, didn't he?
Yeah, and referred to as Emil Blonsky, which shocked
yeah, but
me.
we never saw him in his human form. So did Tim Roth do motion capture for it, or did they just CGI it?
He did the voice. He did the grunts.
Cool.
He did the because he's coming back for She-Hulk, the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus. So I think it's
nice.
They probably got him to just Tim, can you just grunt a bit? Yeah, brilliant. You're in Shang-Chi. Here's $1 million in the post. No, but yeah, it's. I think it's implied that he's mutated so far that it's just irreversible now. Like he can't go back to being Blonsky, because he had the fish ears from the comics as well. So it's like the mutation is just continuously evolving.
What he needs is the bad breath that he had in the Lego game.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's one of his powers. Like, yeah, there's a level where the Hulk has to fight Abomination, but he can't get near him because of his bad breath. It's so weird. I had to, I wouldn't say sit through, but I had to stand up watching the 4-hour version of Hamlet in Shakespeare's Globe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, because, I mean, I'm not being sexist, because they got a woman to play Hamlet, and she wasn't very good, to be honest, in terms of her performance.
Okay.
Like, I'm not against a female Hamlet, but I just don't think that actress was very good.
Yeah, no, you can, yeah. This is like I'm sort of in the minority in that I really like Peter and MJ.
Yeah, I do as well. Do people have problems with it, or
people hate the relationship here? Like,
really?
Usually, like people like me who don't really like this film hate the relationship, and they hate MJ in it. I'm in the minority. I really like it. I don't.
Yeah, plus I like
Yeah.
later in the film where the drones are attacking, and she says she pretty much says why she's so cynical and sarcastic, and pretty much always speaks the truth, which I do like, because underneath that because underneath all that cynicism and sarcasm, there is a nice person under there that Peter sees.
I don't think they're that their love story has much depth. To be honest, because it is literally just the one has a crush on the other one. But I mean,
like to be honest,
yeah.
To be honest, a lot of high school crushes are like that.
Oh, it's true.
You just like them, and then literally, you're not going to make them your life partner. So literally 6 months later, you probably moved on to another person.
Yeah, you're right. That is true. I think I like the well, obviously they're dating now, but they have great chemistry, and I think that they're very endearing and sweet. And that carries it, I think. I think if they didn't have that chemistry, I don't think it would hit half as good, but...
Yeah. Plus, from what I've heard, isn't Tom Holland so bad with spoilers that sometimes when they're filming, they tell him it's for a different scene?
Well, they like to say he's so bad with spoilers, but I think he just fucked up on one occasion. People responded to it on the internet, and then every occasion since, I think, has just been this engineered publicity stunt.
Because isn't there that rumor for Endgame that for Tony Stark's funeral they only told Tom Holland that it's a wedding, a wedding scene.
That's what I mean.
Well, whose wedding would it be?
Exactly, and why is he crying? Why is he looking morose?
It's a wedding.
And exactly.
Yeah, I don't believe that, because obviously Peter in that scene looks so upset that Tony Stark is dead. Yeah. So
I think it's like I said. I think
plus he probably would have.
It was probably real.
Yeah, because he probably would have asked, if this is a wedding, why is everyone dressed in black? Why is everyone crying?
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like a very false publicity. Like I said, the first time was probably genuine, and people responded to it and laughed at it. And people eat it up like every time it happens. I'm just it screams false to me. We missed it. We talked over it, but I really like that opera scene. Then that was a really nice bit of music and visuals combining, where the curtain lifts and Brad gives him the finger and he has to leave. But that's brilliant. That's classic Spider-Man. He has to leave.
That giving the finger scene, it just reminds me of Mrs. Doubtfire, where he sees Pierce Brosnan with his wife, waves at him, moves away, finger.
Broke my back, the bastard. Also, this is I'll say this, I think it's Tom Holland's best performance as Spider-Man so far.
Yeah, he's always a terrific actor, yeah.
He always is, but I think in this film especially, he has toned it down. He's toned down the hyperactiveness to kind of match Peter's mood in this, and it works really well.
Yeah.
He's a bit more low-key, and it works really well. I think this is him at his
honestly best. Yeah, because he can do serious, because, I mean, before, one of his roles pre-Spider-Man was playing Thomas Cromwell's son in Wolf Hall. He played Gregory Cromwell, and I had no idea he was in it, so when I saw him I thought, oh my god, it's Spider-Man in the Tudor era.
Yeah, when he was really young as well. Have you ever seen the film The Impossible? About the...
No, I haven't.
The tsunami in Tunisia, I think it was. He's...
Oh, wow.
He is incredible in that, and he was only like 12 when he did it. But
was he ever? I might have confused him with someone else, but was he ever Billy Elliot on the West End stage, or on stage in general?
I'm not sure.
Was that Dean Charles Chapman? Because I might have confused him with that actor.
I'm honestly not sure. I know that that Tom Holland was a dancer, or he is a dancer, and he's a accomplished gymnast. So maybe. But I'm not sure.
It makes sense that they choose someone who used to be a dancer, because, again, I've said before, Spider-Man should be quite
nimble,
slim, because he has nimble and slim, because he has to do all those acrobats and things like that.
Yeah, no, it works. It works really well. And like I said, this is my favourite of his performances.
Yeah, and I love that it's just gone by. I love that little detail of Peter webbing something invisible but pulling something out. It's just a nice bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. Did you see that number plate as well? Just like in the first one, they hadn't. Just like in Homecoming, they had the number plate referencing the a character's first appearance. In this case, I assume it's Mysterio's first appearance because it said ASM 2239 or something. I can't remember now, but yeah, I like that. I wonder what number plate Easter egg they'll have in the third one, because that's a continuing tradition.
Also, the Fantastic Four in the comics was one of their first adventures meeting Spider-Man, because I swear there's a comic book cover, with Fantastic Four and Spider-Man on the cover. So did that genuinely happen?
So the very first issue of Amazing Spider-Man, after his appearance in Amazing Fantasy, when he got given his own series, the very first issue is him going to the Fantastic Four and going, can I join? How much do you pay? And it's just like
nice, because
walk up and they end up fighting, and that's what this.
Yeah, because there is I know Marvel is developing their own Fantastic Four film, so who knows? Maybe Spider-Man could pop up in it.
And that issue is kind of designed to separate Spider-Man from the other heroes, because
nice,
because he ends that going, Fantastic Four, what a load of shit. They don't care about me. They didn't want to pay me for my services or whatever. So it's kind of designed to kind of separate him from the bigger heroes.
Maybe he was tired of them sitting in dark rooms talking. just like in the 2015 film. Yeah. I've seen clips of that film, and oh god, so much of it is in darkness. I just want to scream, for God's sake, turn on a light, light a candle.
Yeah, I've said before on these commentaries, I'm sure, but that film is on Disney Plus now, and I should probably watch it. But at the same time, I'm like,
oh no.
Yes, at the same time, I'm like, do I want to waste that time that I'm not going to get back?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, I don't take Rotten Tomatoes score as gospel, but I remember when it came out, I think it went as low as 0%, like no one gave it a positive review. Yeah. But I think it sits now at what, 9-10%, like
something like that.
That's like lower than Batman and Robin. Just wow.
Yeah, it's really bad. I do want to watch it eventually. I find the production of it fascinating. I really find
I'd love to see a disaster artist style film on Fant 4 Stick. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, it's one of those films that is destined to get a documentary made about it in 20-30 years time.
Do you think it's dumb for Peter to give him the glasses, but on the other hand, 2 times in a row, Mysterio has kind of, not intentionally, but kind of shown up Spider-Man to show that he's the one who can take down these beings from another. Do you think it's kind of dumb that he does that, or do you think Peter Parker...
I mean...
Given what he's gone through in this film, do you think he would willingly hand it over? The glasses.
Oh, personally, I find the fact that he just willingly hands it over like that is just so, like... Peter Parker has always been a stronger character than that. Even with everything he's gone through in this film, I just don't... I don't buy that he handed it over that easily, but I do kind of like how... Not disgruntled, but like you said, the fact that Mysterio is kind of showing Spider-Man up. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, and
I like that.
The great thing is, Mysterio, he keeps up the illusion. He never does it intentionally, just to be like, look how great I am. You were kind of useless today, or I had to do all the work. Something like that. He never gets like angry with him that he messed up. He's just like, yeah, you know what? Maybe you should take a break. You deserve some time off.
Yeah, it's yeah. And the fact that he's like, oh, the next Tony Stark, I trust you and stuff. He's like, then he still goes to give it away. I don't buy it. And again, it's like just Peter Parker's written to be an idiot in this. Even with everything he's gone through, I'm just like, I don't know. Funnily enough, that I've just looked up that Fantastic Four thing in Amazing Spider-Man #1. So the context is the Parker household is broke. Aunt May needs the money, and he tries to figure out a way to make money. So he goes to see the Fantastic Four. He explains his intentions, and then they tell him that they're a non-profit organisation and earn no salaries. He then leaves disappointed, vowing to make the group look like pikers.
I mean, is he struggling with money in the comics because Mr. Dickovich is going, rent? Give me rent!
No.
And of course, we've got the, I love that they brought back that guy who had that one line in Iron Man 1, the guy Obadiah Stane, Tony Stark managed to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Like, it's so amazing they brought him back.
Is it the same actor?
Yeah, it's the same actor and everything, I'm sure it is.
Nice. No, that is really cool.
Because they do show a flashback to it, and I'm sure it's the same guy.
Yeah, no, I was wondering if it was like that guy like digitally inserted into the scene from Iron Man or something like that, but
yeah. Now, just going to Iron Man 1, one thing I do like and I love in that scene is when the other employees can tell that Stane is about to yell at someone, so they all quietly walk away and leave him behind. That's such a great detail. Yeah.
That guy behind the bar looks like a young Sylvester Stallone from a distance.
Yep.
And it's just
I love. He's got such a great line, which feels like also a Vulture line, where he says, actually, just before I say that, I do like how Peter walked past a Tony Stark eulogy, to say, "What have you done, Peter?" Something like that, yeah. And that's why I love Mysterio's line saying, I think it's like, you could be the smartest person on Earth. That doesn't matter. As long as you're wearing a stupid costume, the world will listen to you. And that is so true, to be honest. Definitely. And it particularly works in the MCU because, think about it, all those superheroes are named as celebrities. They're probably more well-known than, say, Albert Einstein or something like that.
Yeah. Oh shit! Right, so this whole thing as well. I mean, showing the clip from Civil War just makes me wish I was watching that. But that's by the by. That's by the by. The whole thing is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I can remember, this is again bringing up that Tony Stark wasn't this, completely clean person. He did steal people's ideas and stuff. But the film never addresses that at all, and it never makes...
Again, you said it was a problem in Homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the same.
Guy,
yeah, sorry. It's definitely the same guy, yeah.
But it was a problem in Homecoming, and it's a problem again in here. They never actually satisfyingly address it. It's like, well, why bring it up if you're just going to avoid the consequences of that for Peter, for the lead of your film?
Yeah, because it's a really interesting idea. Like, should he really have Tony Stark as his idol? Yeah. Because, I mean, again, even in... because they've never really painted Tony Stark as a perfect person. Because in his own films and the Avengers films, he's never the perfect man. I mean, I'd argue, yes, he's probably a bit overpowered because of his technology, but yeah, he does make questionable decisions like creating Ultron and selfishly keeping all his technology to himself because he feels like he's the only one who should use it. So it baffles me again why they don't follow up on this, that Tony Stark wasn't a perfect guy. He wasn't the Messiah that Peter has put him on.
He's not the
Or puts him on the pedestal, yeah.
No,
Exactly.
It's just... And isn't that part of growing up? Like, realising that your heroes have flaws and aren't perfect. That's part of growing up, isn't it? And if Spider-Man...
Yeah, particularly when...
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly when you realise your own celebrities you look up to turn out to be arseholes in real life sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a part of growing up. And if Spider-Man is a story about a boy becoming a man, isn't that a perfect issue to tackle? But they don't do it. It's just like, everything's fine. They never... this mysterious plan has no bearing on Peter Parker's character, really. It never makes him question himself. By the end, it's all fine because he gets to kiss the girl he likes.
Yeah.
It's just there's no consequences. Obviously, right at the end.
I mean, would you argue
but...
there's consequences, at the end where Mysterio reveals his identity?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think it would be a cool idea, maybe, if in Far From Home, this Peter Parker / Spider-Man retires, maybe? Because who knows, maybe all these villains coming back, they cause mass devastation to his home, his friends, Aunt May, maybe MJ, something like that, and he feels like, I can't be Spider-Man, I failed, and does the whole Spider-Man no more.
If they ever were gonna give this motherfucker some consequences, the time is now. If they don't do it in No Way Home, then I guess that's...
I mean, do you feel in...
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like in Amazing Spider-Man they killed off too many characters close to Peter to have him teach a lesson and you felt it was too much, whereas here they're not giving him enough consequences?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, whereas I'd argue the Raimi trilogy probably balanced that out perfectly.
I think so.
Yeah, if Peter Parker made a mistake in those films, he would pay for it.
Yeah, and it's fair enough. The Raimi films are a classic Spider-Man, but these are trying something different. That's totally fair enough. Like, I have no problem with them doing something different, like what they do to MJ, making her a very different character, but still having the essence there. I have no problem with like stuff like that. I wish that the essence of Spider-Man was still there. Like, even like no matter how different they went with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm all for like different adaptations and changes. I just wish it felt more true. But this is nice. This is a cute. This is cool. I like it because it feels very, the way their body language and everything. They're quite awkward, and I do think it's quite similar, as you've put it, as the Peter and MJ romance in the first Spider-Man film, where Peter sees her as a human being, and here Peter does see the nice and sweet person that is under all that cynicism and sarcasm. And as you mentioned in the first Spider-Man film, everyone kind of either treated MJ like shit or just treated her with materialism, whereas Peter saw her as a human being. Or everyone projects what they want her to be onto her into that film.
Yeah.
Peter just sees her for who she is. And I like that this version of MJ does, cover up herself with this quirky personality. I like that. And Zendaya sells it. She's brilliant. She is. She does, yeah. In these films. She really is. And that is the one thing that I do. The one sort of reinterpretation of a classic element that I do really like about these films is Zendaya. No issues with her at all.
Yeah, definite.
Although that reveal then, you're Spider-Man. Oh, it's fine. And when does she ever suffer from knowing? It sounds really morbid of me to say this, right? But
yeah, I know, because.
But does she ever?
I mean, again, in the Raimi film. In the Raimi films, MJ did suffer. I mean, it did get kind of grating by the third film that she was captured again, but again, she did suffer because they knew who Spider-Man was. And also, I'd argue in ASM2, Gwen Stacy died because Harry Osborn knew who Peter Parker's girlfriend was.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know people, because sometimes I say this and people are like, "Oh, do you just want your films to be depressing and downbeat?" And I'm like, no, it's not hard to find that balance. You know, you can
have conflict.
You can have immense fun.
You can have a fun film that has great conflict in it.
Exactly. Like, it's not a hard balance to achieve, especially when it has been proven several times in the past that you can achieve that balance. And I just and the PS4 game had a mission where you were playing as Peter Parker trying to get your suit back from the dumpster because you've been he gets evicted from his apartment and all of his Spidey stuff.
Is it? Please tell me it's Mr. Dickovich who evicts him.
We never see his landlord, but in my head, I'd like to think it is.
Yes, it's Mr. Dickovich.
But no, it's like you get the that whole mission is so fun and funny, but it cuts to the heart of Peter as a character because like all of his Spidey stuff was in the room because he wasn't there when he got evicted, and all of it's been taken to the dump. So he has to just scramble to try and find it again, and it's a funny mission, but it works as a Spider-Man situation. That's because you buy that's what would happen.
Because I've not played the game, but my cousin owns it, and he said he said nothing but good things about it, and I feel like it's what that game has done for Spider-Man, like what Rocksteady did for Batman with the Arkham games, and I'd really like if Rocksteady maybe moved on to Superman. So
I'd love that.
The Superman 64 game isn't the most infamous Superman video game.
Yeah, it's long overdue for a Superman video game. For a good Superman video game, that is. Because that is a hard thing to do, because, if you have a game where your character is nigh on invincible, how do you make that game challenging?
And one punch to like a robber could kill someone. I mean, how would you take him down? Would you just do what Christopher Reeve Superman did? Hi there.
Exactly, yeah. Like
going down.
How do you make that a challenge? That's a hard thing to do, so I appreciate, why it hasn't been done yet, but I think one of these days some developer is going to strike gold with a formula that really works, and hopefully it's not too long or too far away.
Plus, I do love the update with Mysterio here, because in the comics he's like a magician, isn't he, that gets powers and is able to create real illusion and magic, whereas here he uses it for fake news and to get the media on his side and, again, tell the people what he wants them to believe, and he knows that they'll lap it up because, depressingly, it's the world we live in now.
Reminds me a lot of Elliot Carver from Tomorrow Never Dies.
Again, that's
yeah. I mean, that film is ahead of its time, isn't it? Really.
It was, and we have done a commentary for that, which you should definitely check out. Again, definitely ahead of its time. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, I watched it again recently, and it just, funnily enough, I was thinking of this film when I was watching it. It was like, this 20 plus years later, and this kind of stuff is still being talked about in film, and it's still an issue. He said there, more casualties, more coverage is, pretty much.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's basically an Elliot Carver line. So yeah.
Again, and also Scream 4 touched upon that idea as well, because the killer in that says, what the media really loves is a sole survivor story. Yeah. And that is true.
Yeah. That's
people only read about your story, they're gonna live mine. Something like
exactly,
that.
Oh, I remember I watched Scream 4 for the first time last year, because I hadn't ever seen the fourth one, and it just, that last bit where Jill, the whole twist with her, my jaw was on the floor. Like, I just remember watching that. This is so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and cause they take shots at remakes, you expect it to be her boyfriend,
Yeah.
like Billy was in the original. But yeah, it's such a great twist,
Yeah.
and we have got Scream 5 coming next year.
January, I believe it's out.
Oh wow, look at that! We haven't even got a trailer for it yet,
No.
and I know it's only September, but we could get one
I would
soon.
expect one around Halloween. I hope so.
Funnily enough, in 2019, when I met Matthew Lillard, I did say, "Would you ever come back for Scream 5?" And he said, "Oh, I don't think there's ever going to be one because Wes is no longer with us." Yeah. He was wrong there.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm looking forward to it. I'm. It should.
I mean, I do hope Matthew Lillard does have a cameo in it. It would be cool.
Nice. It would be nice. Yeah, I mean, I trust in the directors because when I watched Ready or Not, that the tone of that film is very Scream-like, and I just watched that.
Oh, cool.
I watched that, and then I found out they were doing the new one, and I was just like, okay, we're in safe hands. Because
whenever a new Saw film or Scream film comes out, I always like to know what Welshie's opinion was on it, because those two franchises, they're so special and dear to him.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, the new Scream it's not called Scream 5, it's just called Scream. Annoyingly, I wish.
No, why were you doing that?
Yeah, I wish Hollywood had stopped doing that.
It's gonna be like, yeah, because it's like, right, you want to watch Scream? Which one?
Yeah, it's that there's 3 films called Halloween in the same franchise. Just called Halloween. It's just, I wish if studios stopped doing this. It's annoying.
And again, it's happened with bloody Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad. I mean, now we've got coming up the Batman.
The Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's going to be the 50th Spider-Man reboot.
Yeah.
I do like that when he goes up to that one film and she goes, "Not the monkey!"
Yeah, that's cool.
Because obviously they heard it on the news that he's the night monkey.
Yeah.
Which at first I thought was a pretty unfunny joke, but I do like how it comes back with the whole.
Yeah.
The media, people will believe what the media tells them. If he's the night monkey, he's the night monkey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind it. It's far from being the worst joke in this film.
Yeah, I love this Mysterio sequence here because you feel like you're in Peter's shoes. You feel like everything is going well. Like, oh, good, he's telling Nick Fury what's gone wrong. Oh, no, he's with Mysterio. Oh, good, Nick Fury, the real Nick Fury showed up. Oh, wait, it's another illusion. It's done so well, I think.
I like that. I will. This, for as much griping as I've done, no complaints whatsoever about this sequence. I think it's brilliant. It is far and away one of the best sequences we've ever got in a Spider-Man film.
Definitely,
No complaints with this whatsoever. And I think it's hinted as well, because a minute ago Nick Fury was like, put on your seatbelt. Would Nick Fury ever really do that?
Oh yeah. Would he really care?
Yeah, he wouldn't really give a shit, would he?
Nope.
I mean, the one thing also, when we see Stark's grave later on, that is very much... That was the point.
That is very haunting.
That was the point in the cinema where I was like, okay, yeah, that's the mission, that's the statement, that's where these films are going. They're
Yeah, it would have been nice though. Why not have it be Uncle Ben's grave?
That's what I wanted, but no, that's what I mean by, like, they're making it a statement of just, yeah, I guess Stark is this guy's Uncle Ben, which I just remember thinking, fair enough, but it ain't for me. Like,
Yeah, because I've said before, I don't need to see Uncle Ben die,
No.
but just a bit of acknowledgement would be nice. Just a scene of him putting flowers on his grave or something like that, or speaking to his grave, just saying like, "I won't let you down, Uncle Ben," or something like that. You taught me great power comes great responsibility and all that.
Yeah, no, and we get a bit of that. Well, I say a bit. We get his initials on a suitcase that then they blow up without any care in the world.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah,
Can't
because it's
fucking stand.
BFP Ben Frank Parker.
Ben Franklin Parker, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Correct me if I think it's Ben Franklin Parker.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, no. That's the one minor gripe I have about this vision sequence. The rest of it, fucking cracking.
It is. Yeah.
Great.
It's.
And the CGI work is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
I have problems with the overuse of CGI in these films, but I can't deny this. It is amazing.
Yeah, this is a great sequence. All the Spider-Mans coming on top of each other. It does remind me so much of the Doctor Strange sequences in that film.
And of course, it's full circle for Jake Gyllenhaal, isn't it? Because he was nearly Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2.
He was, yeah, when Tobey Maguire injured his back or something, and there was uncertainty of whether he could come back.
Which is why in that film they have the my back.
Yeah,
that's why that's in there, because it was a little in-joke.
Yeah, because I think he was doing a film called Seabiscuit where he does a lot of horse riding, and I don't know if he fell off his horse or something like that.
Well, yeah, he was in some sort of accident. That's quite gnarly as well, the zombie Iron Man.
Yeah, and I love the spiders coming out of his eyes and things like that.
Yeah. And this is the one sort of bit of, I think, really, like, real innovative creativity, really, in the film.
Imagine if they went all out and had Bruce Campbell be Mysterio in this film. That would have been cool. It helps maintain the illusion.
But yeah, it's just like, although it visually does look better than Homecoming and the action is better staged, ultimately for the majority of the film, I think the action isn't especially innovative or creative or, exciting to look at. It's just competently done action scenes, which the first one didn't really have. But this illusion sequence is the real highlight of the film, and it's the most creative I think this series has got. And he just keeps. I like that they keep piling stuff on top of him. Like, just when you think you're right, we're back in the illusion again. It's cool.
Yeah, the whole Fury coming in and taking down Mysterio, it's all fake.
It really does feel like a Steve Ditko or John Romita splash page brought to life.
It does, yeah.
And that's fantastic. Yeah, I really like it. Fucking hell, what files from his trip? The trip's changed about 20 times already. He's gonna be fucking off back to Venice, and they're not going to be there. All right, there's right, okay. So this is brilliant.
There's no one on this train, then.
No, I guess no one's on it, but this is brilliant. Like, Peter Parker is broken physically and mentally. He's damaged. He's alone. And he's collapsed on the train, kind of having to take this moment.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. And what do? They cut to this unfunny crap joke.
Yeah. It'd be like... Because, I do give Homecoming a lot of credit, when the Vulture pretty much buries him under all that rubble. They don't cut to a stupid joke. It'd be like if after the Goblin in Spider-Man 1 beat him up and be like... I don't know, Peter woke up, Aunt May's very closely watching him, and he's like, ugh! And like, oh, you're awake!
Yeah.
Just, it'd be some dumb shit like that. Exactly. I mean, I know that joke's not very well thought out, but neither was this one.
Well, no. Yeah, these jokes haven't gone through drafts. They are literally just the most funny shit that somebody thought of, and it's just like, let that shit.
Yeah,
lie.
it reminds me.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, it reminds me so much. The original writing staff of The Simpsons, they'd go through 30 or 40 drafts per episode just to get jokes right. So they'd have all those layers and different ways you can look at it and laugh at it. Whereas, here it's just so basic and thin and not funny.
One joke in The Simpsons would have taken hours to get down, because it would go through so many writers to nail that shit down. That's why that stretch of The Simpsons is some of the best TV you will ever watch, because it is so consistently brilliantly written. Because of that writing style, it led to the theory that one of the writers, John Swartzwelder, wasn't a real person. A lot of fans theorized that he might have been a pseudonym when say too many writers contributed to an episode and they couldn't all put their name on it, so they just come up with a fake name. But no, they had to confirm without, the real John Swartzwelder doing an interview or anything like that he was real. Yeah. In fact, funnily enough, I think there's a commentary on season 9 of an episode he wrote that the commentators, they ring him up apparently and say, we're doing a commentary on one of your episodes now, The Cartridge Family. What are you doing? I'm cooking a steak. Oh, really? Yeah. Also, this isn't John Swartzwelder. Bye. That's funny. I like that. But yeah, no, like, let that shit lie. Like, that's a powerful image of this kid broken and in pain on a train, and they cut away to, oh, this is the Netherlands, aren't we quirky? There's goats roaming, and then tonally we go back down to that brilliant scene just then of Peter being like, who are you? Are you happy? And then
and it's how do I know it's you? You rented an adult film in.
No, that's not funny. Just let the drama play for 5. I feel like Shrek for 5 minutes. Can you just let the drama play for 5 minutes? And that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like when I watch this, especially this section of the film. It's just like, for fuck's sake, can you just let some of that shit actually have an impact? And again, I had, just what you were saying then. We go from that really powerful scene of him on the train to a unfunny lame joke to another really powerful scene of him in the field, and then in the same scene we go back and forth between an unfunny joke and a really powerful moment. And
yeah, maybe if there was like a scene of him, just wandering, is it the Netherlands he's in?
Yeah, the Netherlands, because they feel the need to like
just have him wandering the Netherlands, just trying to find a way of contacting Happy. Maybe he doesn't have his phone or anything like that, and he's, I don't know, going into a hotel saying, I need to use your computer, quick, or something like that, and he contacts Happy Hogan, and then they're just like, wait a minute, how do I know this is the real Happy, or something like that? And have him reveal something that isn't about he had a wank in a Berlin hotel.
He had a wank in a Berlin.
I mean, that's the essence of it anyway.
Spider-Man, the wank in the Berlin hotel.
Boy, here is his plan. Hide your garments, hide your shoes. He'll sniff them out like their perfume. Block it out. He will follow. He will flock. When your back is turned, he'll stroke his cock.
Silence. So this scene, right? Somebody please explain to me, because this is the one thing that I find genuinely like unfathomable. So Happy's just gone on this big this big whole thing there about, you're not Tony, you're never going to be Tony, nobody could live up to him, he was my best friend. So they established there, they clearly established that, okay, Peter is now learning that he doesn't need to be the next Iron Man, he just needs to be himself. Not 2 minutes later, he is now in a lab developing this high-tech suit, engineering
listening to Back in Black.
What the fuck is this film trying to say? What is this?
He's the Iron Spider.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just contradicted itself within 2 minutes. It's
Yeah, I mean, the Iron Spider, calling him the Iron Spider, that sounds like something that Maguire would come up with on, when he's about to do that wrestling match. So what's your name, kid? The Iron Spider. Yeah. That's the best yet. That sucks.
But it's like that, like, Happy is looking at him, like, longingly, like, because he's just like, I can see Tony, I can see Tony in this kid, I guess is what he's thinking. But it's like, you just told him not to be Tony. You just told him that he should be his own person. What the fuck is this film trying to say about the character of Peter Parker? I apologise, anyone listening, that if I seem like I'm getting angry about this, I'm not. There are worse things to get angry about in the world.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There are far worse things to get angry about in the world, but it's just frustrating and baffling to me that, like, that is in here. Like, what is this? What is it trying to say? I don't get it.
Exactly.
I don't get it. It is the prime example of everything I don't like about these films.
Yeah.
That whole
I mean, honestly, this film, to sum it up, I'd say I like it as much as it frustrates me. Like, the stuff I like, I really do like. But the stuff that I don't like, I really don't like. But for me, a lot of it does come down to the comedy, and yeah, because I feel like that's all I've really... Because the plot and story I do like a lot, and I just think it's the comedy that brings it down.
I mean, you have made very good cases.
Just trying to think of enough
throughout this, like, for the good parts.
Yeah,
you've made very good points. So
I'm just trying to think of any other films where I've really liked the plot and story, but I felt the comedy dragged it down.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Discount Peter Serafinowicz.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
always thought this guy looks like Peter Serafinowicz, and it sounds vaguely like him.
Well, he's been in the MCU. He's in the first Guardians film, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he is, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
What a bunch of a-holes. And the front door is open again! It's 4 in the fucking morning!
Have you seen his the old sketches from the Peter Serafinowicz show of him as the Beatles?
No, I haven't.
That's so funny because Benedict Wong plays Yoko Ono, and it's like he's not even not even dressed as a woman. He's literally just got this big long wig on, and it's literally just he's in the background next to John Lennon, just constantly going, yeah. It's just brilliant. It's those
I mean, to their credit, if you look at like Beatles behind the scenes videos where Yoko Ono, she more or less became the 5th member. Every time John moves somewhere to a different instrument, she's like 2 steps behind him. Like, Jesus.
She's attached to him almost, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've got that 3-part Beatles documentary coming out.
Peter Jackson.
Not direct. Yeah, not directed, but more edited by Peter Jackson, because they had like over 50 hours worth of behind-the-scenes footage, and they've edited it down to a documentary. Yeah, I hope it comes out on Blu-ray, because so far I've heard it's only going to Disney Plus.
I'm sure it'll be out beyond that. I can't imagine it being.
I mean, I think they should do the season 24 route and release all the behind-the-scenes footage.
Oh god, well, you probably need like 20 discs or something, the amount that there's out there. It's no, I
mean, I don't care. I'd sit through it.
Same. I am looking forward to that documentary. It should be pretty cool. Because I remember the first trailer of it was Peter Jackson in the editing room going, it had to be delayed because of COVID, but thankfully in New Zealand we're back to work because our country is, well, pretty much stomped out the virus by now. So, and I just remember thinking, yep, must be nice, because I think this was like
paradise.
Yeah, I think this was when we were deep in a lockdown. So I just remember thinking,
yeah,
that must be nice.
Just. I do forget that this, up until this year, this was the latest MCU film, wasn't it?
Yeah, my Black Widow steelbook arrived yesterday, and it just slotting that into place on the shelf was such a weird feeling.
Yeah, just so weird,
it kind of made me think, maybe life is kind of back to normality a bit. It was just
I've joked about that before, saying like, we've got 4 MCU films in the cinema again. Life is back to normal.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way,
does just feel like
because wasn't this supposed to kick off Phase 4? But again, they decided, you know what, let's close this off with Phase 3.
Yeah, on the big box set they released the other year. It's listed as the final film in the Infinity Saga, so it's like an epilogue.
Yeah, even though everything involving the stones was wrapped up in Endgame, so but I suppose the legacy of the blip, which was caused by the stones, is kind of felt here. Yeah.
Personally, I still think of Endgame as the final one because that wraps up everything, and this sets up more than it wraps up. So I much prefer...
Yeah, because with Phase... so far with the Phase 4 films, they've not referenced the stones at all. But I do wonder, though, how will it tie into Doctor Strange 2? Because their entire mantra is protecting the Time Stone, and it's been destroyed, hasn't it, in their timeline?
Yes. Yeah.
It has, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with that if they haven't got a time stone to protect anymore.
They go and grab it from another universe or something.
Yep.
Because one of the latest episodes of What If was the concept of it was, what if Christine died in Doctor Strange instead of Stephen? So what if it was Stephen got out unscathed, but Christine died, and it ends in this brilliant battle of like 2 different Doctor Stranges from 2 different universes. One pure evil who has just gone off the rails evil because Christine died.
I mean, haven't they done one with what if T'Challa, Black Panther was Star-Lord?
Yeah,
that sounds weird because they're completely different characters.
Yeah, but it worked really
well. One is a noble king, the other is a big man baby, more or less.
Yeah, but it worked really well, and you saw different characters. Not spoiling anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, but you saw different characters behaving very differently to how they do in the films, because T'Challa is inherently a more sensible person.
Yeah, definitely,
so people he's come into contact with have been affected by that and are very different characters. And it's really fun to hear the actors play with that.
Yeah, you'd never hear Black Panther say, right. I'm not from I'm from Missouri.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, they're still going ahead with Black Panther 2, aren't they? They're just...
Yes.
I do wonder how they're going to do it, obviously, with Chadwick Boseman sadly passing away.
Yeah, I believe it's called Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which is a very fitting title.
Yeah, and they have established that the whole Black Panther, it's a title, it's something that you inherit and basically fight for, is that it, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
So I'm sure they've got someone or a character from that franchise to take up the mantra.
Yeah, I imagine, a spanner was definitely thrown into the works because they probably had much more planned than...
Yeah, they definitely probably had more planned with Chadwick Boseman in the lead.
Why is Maria Hill in this film, by the way?
I don't know.
What does she do? Because it's only just...
What's the first film she appears in? Is it Avengers Assemble?
Avengers, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So I don't think she's in Iron Man 2 or 4. Then after that she doesn't appear. She appears in Winter Soldier, doesn't she?
Yes. And she's in
Age of Ultron. And then again, whenever Nick Fury appears, she seems to appear as well, because they both fade away in Infinity War.
Because I like seeing her because she's quite a likable character, but it's just like just watching this just now, there was that bit where it just cut to her and she just sighs, and then it cuts away, and I'm like, why is she in this? What does she add to this?
Yeah.
I think she popped up in a couple of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's been ages since I've watched that show. Oh, okay. So she's just there to blow up a drone. Fair enough.
It does amaze me up until 2020, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the only Marvel show?
Yeah.
Related to the MCU?
Well, you have the Netflix, like, Daredevil and Jessica Jones. That was all...
Well, yeah, but they were separate from the MCU, weren't they?
Well, they were meant to be in the MCU, it's just they never...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which always... Because you've got, like, the biggest reference I can think of is you'd occasionally see, like, posters, it's like, remembering the Battle of New York. And
okay.
Like, Jessica is saying, "Oh, go get the big green guy." So it was always very subtle, but I think they've since been quietly written out of the canon, which is a shame because the casting was perfect. So I hope if they do those characters again, they keep the casting, even if they write those shows out of canon. Because I'm pretty sure by the end, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was basically not canon. I like the red and black suit.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
It's okay. It's fine, I guess. It again annoys me that it's just slathered with a bunch of CGI, because the actual suit they used on set looks really nice.
I mean, because they filmed this in London, I remember seeing this with my friend Brad, and he's been in quite a few films as an extra. I'm just like, he says, "I'm so excited." I'm like, "Why are you in this?" Often when we're in HMV, I point to a film and he's just like, "I'm in it, mate." And again, not to sound repetitive, but we have a great dramatic scene of MJ saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I always speak the truth because I feel like that's my way of coping," and then it cuts to, "I'm in love with Spider-Man's in." Shut up.
This film can never have any dramatic moment at all without undercutting it completely.
Yeah, I'm just like, just shut the fuck up.
That's quite cool though. She picks up the mace and it's ridiculously heavy, so she nearly drops it. Yeah, that's quite cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because when you pick up a weapon like that for real, it's really heavy. Okay, that was a funny joke, he tries to throw the shield. How's Cap do that?
Yeah, that's alright. But it's funny, like, the funnier jokes in this are the ones that are subtle, are said once, and then, never recur. Like,
Oh yeah, the recurring jokes in this are just so...
Yeah, it's like
awful,
it's like the Ned and Betty thing. It's funny
it never evolves. It just
exactly, yeah.
They throw you over the head with it.
But it's kind of funny the first time they do it, like that as well. How does Cap do that? That's all right. That's fairly funny because it's a one-time thing and it never.
I mean, a lot of people do criticise For the Dark World for having bad comedy, and I don't mean the comedy in that's great, but I can't remember it being as bad as this.
Well, it helps. I mean, I've always had a soft spot for Kat Dennings as Darcy. Because I think I like Kat Dennings, so it's sort of like, well, I don't really mind, and she's got great comedic timing, and the film plays to her strengths. It never really, the comedy in that never feels like it's being like a sitcom. It just feels like that's Darcy's character. This just feels like a sitcom. This really does feel like it's trying to be a sitcom and just failing miserably. Like characters just feel like cartoon characters.
Heck, The Simpsons took the piss out of all those stupid one-note sitcoms with the whole "Smithers, I'm home."
Yeah.
What? Already? Yes. That's all it is.
It's funny, like, WandaVision's whole thing was being a sitcom. And I just remember watching some of the early episodes of that where it fully commits to it, and I was just like, this is the kind of humour that's in Far From Home, and it's played genuinely. And it's like, you're supposed to find this funny.
Yeah, I'd argue Shazam is the type of film that does the comedy of a type of story like this right, you know, a teenager getting superpowers, because though in Shazam's case it is obviously quite different because he literally turns into a man.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the thing about Shazam is, as I've said throughout this, Shazam drops its dramatic moment, and it fucking
definitely,
them. Like that bit where he goes to see his mum and she lets him go and he walks away. That is one of the most mature moments I've ever seen, and what essentially is a kids film. It's one of the most mature like bits of drama I've seen in years from a superhero film, and it's brilliant. And then also it's really fucking funny. The whole film's so funny, but it's just it like I said, it lets it lie. This doesn't let it, you know, it doesn't balance anything out.
I mean, we just talked over the whole I'm in love with Spider-Man's aunt, but I don't care. Let's forget it.
Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Fuck off. I've just realised as well. Sorry, that was really aggressive. I've just realised as well, that whole thing where he grabs the Tower Bridge sign, and that's supposed he's trying to be Captain America from Endgame there, where Captain America wields the Mjolnir, because he's got the hammer as well. So once again, they're contradicted themselves. Oh, you've got to be your own hero. Let's have him just reenact the scene from Endgame.
Have him be like Cap. Yeah, the reason that works in Endgame is because Cap is completely broken. He has no idea that his fallen heroes are going to be coming, but he still stands up to Thanos and his entire army with a half-broken shield, because, going back to the first Avenger, I don't like bullies.
Exactly. Fucking perfect. And that's 23 films of investment.
Because isn't there, when Cap faces Thanos in the comics, isn't there like a big, massive speech that he gives of why he does the things he does? And very cleverly, it's done in Endgame, but he doesn't say the speech. It's all just done through the visuals of him just standing up to Thanos, being all alone. That's all you need to know.
There's that incredible shot of him on the battlefield. It's just this little guy versus his army.
Yeah, I'll say this: even if none of those heroes showed up and we didn't get that whole Avengers assemble, and it was just Cap, if it was just Cap on his own facing off Thanos, that still would have been a great climax for me.
Very much so. I like how dirty the suit is and how fucked up it is. Like, you know, he's been set on fire.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Shot, like, it's cool, and we get a proper spider sense scene, which is nice. Peter's all cut up and he's got blood all over him. I like that. It's consequences, you know. And that's awesome, like the tears in his eyes as he holds that gun. That's brilliant. That is a really cool bit.
With his spider sense, he should have caught the bullet and threw it back at him, like quote unquote Homer Simpson does in that TV show, The Police Cops.
Yeah, right. And you know that actually, you know, watching this commentary, that is a moment that hits there when he says, "You can't." What's the line?
You can't fool me.
You can't fool me anymore. That hits. That works. That feels like a Spider-Man.
Again, it does feel like he has learned something, but again, he's still idolizing Tony Stark when, for 2 films in a row, I mean, not counting Infinity War, let's just go by his solo films. For 2 films in a row, he's fully aware that Tony Stark had shifty deals and probably screwed over quite a lot of people, that were beneath him to get where he wanted and stole people's ideas. But again, he's still acting like he's the fucking messiah.
Yeah. And it's like, this is the problem with it. This is all great, and Tom Holland's doing great dramatic work, and this is all a really dramatic moment, and it works. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, this Spider-Man has just learnt the same lessons that he did in the last film. He's just not learned anything. It feels like he has, but who's to say in the next one it just won't be completely disregarded again? Because he just seems to be learning the same thing every time.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if in Far From Home he's just like, oh, I want the world to stop knowing that I'm Spider-Man just so I can go on a date with MJ.
And he'll probably learn the same thing again.
And again, you just... And I've said it before, just have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man come up and say, I missed the part, but that's my problem. The whole world knows I'm Spider-Man. I missed the part, but that's my problem.
And that bit there where, like, Mysterio dies, and he's like, nowadays they'll believe anything. That feels like the film's trying to hit you there with a big thought-provoking moment to end the battle on, but it just doesn't play at all, because it just doesn't work at all, because they haven't really... That doesn't impact on Peter's character, because he never comes out of this with a change of heart about that at all. So it doesn't work. It's like, it reminds me of the bit from the Suicide Squad, where as Starro is... Spoilers for the Suicide Squad. As Starro is dying, they have that one that goes, I was happy, floating among the stars. And it leaves you with that moment of, oh shit, maybe the people who had a hand in this, they all kind of contributed to this, and it's a nice moment.
I did like that scene where he's talking and she just kisses him, because usually it's the other way around. It's when the girl just says, I want to tell you how much I like you and all that, and then it's the boy who kisses her, but I like how it's the other way around.
It's nice. It is nice. That's what I mean. And
there's a really... Nice. It's at the end, there's a really great scene where they're swinging, and for the first time I felt like I was swinging around with this Spider-Man, like I was with, say, the Andrew Garfield swinging scenes, because they were terrific.
It took a while, but we got there. I mean, but to completely steal a point from high top films, the swinging, the final swings in most other Spider-Man films, in Spider-Verse, in The Amazing Spider-Man, in the Raimi trilogy, the final swings were always a note to demonstrate Peter's character growth. They were often triumphant, and sometimes they were haunting note to end the film on, because that's what he's grown and stuff. What has Peter learned? How has this character grown? What is this final swing saying about the character? What does it represent? It feels hollow to me.
I've just realised this for all three live-action Spider-Man actors. All of them have done a funeral scene. Tobey Maguire did Norman and Harry Osborn. Andrew Garfield did Captain Stacy and Gwen Stacy. And here, Tom Holland has done Tony Stark. Yeah. It's a good thing Peter never said what to Nick Fury. Need I remind you, the last person who said what to Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, he's one of those actors who just does not age.
No, he doesn't. He looks exactly the same.
I think it's because he does... I think that's because he does shave his head a lot. Yeah. Because when you shave your hair, you don't age. It's the secret to eternal youth, really. Yeah, because he's, 70 now?
I think so. Late 60s, yeah? I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you look at him in, say, the Star Wars prequels, he was, late 40s, early 50s? He still looks like he's in his 30s there.
Yeah.
Oh, there was that joke that the Honest Trailers made about Winter Soldier, because Steve Rogers has that list. I'll add it to the list. On it is Star Wars / Trek. They'll be like, oh, how do they explain that when he gets to the prequels? Oh yeah, there's that joke where it's just his chauffeur picking him up.
So why the fuck do I get what? there's no weight behind it. Oh, and this as well. Okay. Let's go. Where are your bags? Oh, right, yeah, they got blown up. Fuck you. Like, fuck off. You have just blown up
it's the...
probably some of the last possessions that Uncle Ben ever gave to him.
Oh my god, yeah, that's...
And it is blown up.
That'd be like, I mean, I know it's not entirely focused upon, but you know that picture you mentioned that was what, Tobey Maguire's screen test with Cliff Robertson and Rosemary Harris. It'd be like if that was blown up in a house fire, and I may be like, oh well, it's just an old picture.
Yeah, exactly. This film, it doesn't care about any of that. That's probably one of the last possessions that he's got from Uncle Ben. One of the last memories he's got from him. And yeah, it's just blown up, and he doesn't care. Everything's fine. Fuck
God,
you.
yeah. I never realised it like that. Mainly because it's literally a freeze frame moment where you've got to notice that the initials are BFP.
Exactly, yeah. This final swing is great. You know, it is cool. Fun. It's thematically, I think it does feel hollow, but at the same time, you know, it's a fun image. The swinging is done well. We've got, you know, don't text and swing. That's a funny line. That's a funny little message.
Yeah, that's funny.
The people have theorised that when he swings past Avengers Tower and it's under construction, people have theorised that maybe the Baxter Building from Fantastic Four.
The what building?
The Baxter Building. The Fantastic Four's.
Oh, right, nice.
Fantastic Four's kind of base, as it were.
Well, yeah, because as I've said, they have got a Fantastic Four film in development as part of Phase 4, so who knows, maybe Spider-Man could pop up.
Well, if you look at that sign behind MG there, it says, "We are so excited to show you what comes next," and it says 1, 2, 3, and then in a question mark. So...
I see. Yeah, that's it. This bit here, you know, where we've got a close-up of them, it's great.
Nice, yeah, it's cool. Kind of a weak, like, I know it's not the final shot of the film because of the post-credit scene, but that is kind of a weak final shot, though.
Yeah, I think it would have been much better if this was before the actual credits here, like the whole reveal.
I mean, this is a great end title sequence again.
I mean, for the mid and post-credit scenes of a lot of MCU films, I'd love it if someone took the credits that they do for the mid-credits and put them at the start for the title sequence, to have them be the film's title sequences, because Age of Ultron has a really great mid-credits with all those models of the Avengers and, you know, just showing off the actors' names. That'd be a great title sequence, I think.
The only problem is sometimes they give away spoilers of the...
Oh, yeah, they do, so...
But, I mean, it explains a lot, actually, because I think my second to least favourite MCU film was probably Ant-Man and the Wasp. And, funnily enough, it's the same writers as this. So I guess that's...
Oh, is it?
I guess that's just a thing for me. I just don't like their writing, I guess. Because that...
I quite like Ant-Man and the Wasp, because... I'd argue it does the consequences of a hero from Civil War much better than, say, Homecoming.
Yeah.
Because there are jokes at it, but again, we're told the consequences of what happens if Scott Lang is caught away from his house arrest or something like that. Yeah. And yeah, the stakes do feel real, but again, they don't shy away from the fact that it is silly. It's a shrinking man with a woman dressed as a wasp as well, trying to look into the tiny universe or something like that.
I mean, my thing with Ant-Man and the Wasp is I just feel like it kind of feels like half a film in a way. Like I remember watching it just ended, and I was like, "Oh, is that it?" Like it doesn't really. It just kind of very bland for me, and that's, you know, an issue I have with this is some of it is quite bland. So I guess it's just their writing is, you know, I'm not really a fan of, but that's okay. You know, there's 20 plus other films that that I enjoy. It's definitely not like I'm short on good MCU content that I like, you know. Oh yeah, and I forget. You know, I always forget that this was the big.
Oh yeah, J.K. Simmons is in there.
Yeah. which
Yeah, but again, I think it do. I don't think it overshadows the whole Spider-Man's real name is Peter Parker.
no,
Because again, I think it's still completely in character that
yeah.
he's still chastising Spider-Man, saying he attacked a real hero like Mysterio.
And it's a smart recontextualization that he's like they say he's like a he's the leader of a controversial fake news site. He's like an Alex Jones type of thing, which makes sense. That is a modern interpretation of what the Daily Bugle probably will be. So he's not a newspaper. It does make sense. I like that.
So is the Daily Bugle like the US or Spider-Man version of the Sun?
Yeah, essentially
from the UK.
Essentially, that's what it is, and I quite like that. It's a smart modern adaptation, I think. Yeah, no problems with that. Yeah, wonderful J.K. Simmons. I was so happy they brought him back.
Do you think I'm sure he'll definitely be in Far From Home. Oh wait, no, because he's in the trailer, isn't
he's
he?
in No Way Home, which is nice.
Yeah, No Way Home. That's what I mean.
I don't know if you've seen the video of Sam Raimi's reaction to reaction to the audience's reaction to hearing to because he knew that he was in it. Like, he got a call from J.K. Simmons called him up and said, they want me to reprise the role. Do you think I should do it? And kind of Sam Raimi gave him his blessing. And there's a video online of him being told that people loved it. Like, this interviewer goes, "Oh yeah, people exploded in the cinema," and Sam Raimi's just like, "Oh really? Oh, that's so cool!" Like it makes his day.
Yeah.
Because Sam Raimi is very much self-deprecating, so it's just it's a really great video where he's just like really happy that people love it. So.
So yeah, honestly, watching this again, it's not my favourite Spider-Man or MCU film. I just think if I was to rank both Spidey and MCU films, it probably would come like in the middle, something like that. And again, I found that most of my problems were with the comedy and the idolization again of Tony Stark. But other than that, I do think we have got a really good Spider-Man film here. Because I really love the villain. It's probably one of my favourite MCU villains, Mysterio. And, I love the whole... And I think it is a great... it's a great modern Spider-Man film, I think, particularly with the whole fake news, fake media angle that's being pushed in the film. And it's... Yeah, I still really like it.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you have...
I know it sounds like I've ragged on it a lot, but I do genuinely like it. It is, again, it's possible to like a film and acknowledge that it does have many flaws in it.
Yeah, and you have done a good job, kind of explaining why you like certain things, and it's been good to hear that. I'm very glad you like it. I'm jealous. I wish I could like, for me it's
Is it still your least favourite MCU film and Spidey film after watching it again?
Yeah, I think it is, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things to it. It's definitely not like unwatchable. I like, some of it kind of reminds me of some of those offshoot issues or of Spider-Man comics, or say like episodes of the cartoons where he goes off on this adventure. I like that it kind of reminds me of those classic Spider-Man things. Tom Holland is great. Zendaya's great. I like that it's colourful. The Mysterio sequence is really well done. For me, it doesn't feel like Spider-Man to me. When we did Homecoming, I find kind of an appreciation for that, which was nice. But yeah, this just doesn't feel...
I mean, here, does it feel like, again, do you think it feels like Iron Man Jr., the movie?
I don't even think it's that for me. It just feels like a generic superhero that they've put the name Spider-Man on, but just the fact that the essence just isn't there for me. And I just find it so kind of unambitious.
And again, as you say, Spider-Man isn't just any generic hero. He's the motherfucking Spider-Man.
He's the face of Marvel. He is the face of Marvel
Well,
comics.
yeah.
You know, he.
I'd argue now the face of Marvel in recent years, as in the past decade, I definitely think became Iron Man.
Definitely, and you can see that because Spider-Man is kind of now a secondary level character, and that's fucking weird to say.
Yeah.
And I never, like I said earlier, I never thought that it'd be this. I never thought we'd get to a point.
Yeah, because even if you look at DC, a lot of people would say Batman is the face of of DC. It'd be like if just the way you've compared it there with Tony Stark now becoming the face of the MCU. It'd be like if, I don't know, a hero like Shazam became the face of DC and Batman became a secondary character, something like that.
Exactly like that. And I do want to stress again that, like, I don't hate the film because I don't really hate any piece of fiction anymore, because at the end of the day it's a film. There are much worse things happening in the world right now. But it really is just, like... I think because when they announced the MCU Spider-Man, I think myself and a lot of people were like, ready for the definitive Spider-Man film adaptation. And I think for me, it's just the disappointment is just so... It's still there. I think the fact that...
And I know quite a few... I mean, it was in articles recently, the director of Blade Runner 2049, you know, saying Marvel films follow a formula and people taking that to heart. But yeah, now listen, I love the MCU, but I have to agree, they follow a formula, just like any other franchise does. If you look at all the James Bond films, the Indiana Jones films, they're all the same. Come on.
They are all the same.
On the surface, they are technically all the same. And the MCU films, to a degree, a lot of them are the same. But there's nothing wrong with following a formula for your franchise. It's what makes you your identity. So if anything, I'd say that's a compliment from him.
Yeah, no, it's just that's a whole other debate that we could get into with the whole MCU film cinema or not cinema.
I mean, yeah, they are, because they're released.
We could probably go into the whole thing in like an hour-long discussion. So. But yeah. Oh, also, I just want to point out, just as we're closing off here, there was a short film that is included on the Blu-rays and extra. It's a 5-minute sequence. You can tell it's a cut scene from the start of the film, and it is probably the most Spider-Man thing the MCU has ever done. And it should have been in the film.
Oh, I've not checked it out yet. What's it called?
Peter's To-Do List. And it's like him getting ready.
Oh, it's on the special features, just look.
Give it a watch. It's like 5 minutes long, and it is brilliant, and it should have been in the film. It's got a lot of the footage that is in the trailers that isn't in the film. So, yeah, that's brilliant. I love that, and I just wish it was in the film, really. But yeah, that's Far From Home.
Yep.
That is. I mean, we've still got another fucking post-credit scene to go. So
again, again, it probably comes in the middle for me for MCU and Spidey films. Yeah, and just watching it again, I'm not sure if I prefer Homecoming over it. It's I can't remember cringing at some of the comedy in Homecoming. I probably cringe more at the comedy in this film than I did Homecoming. So. But then again, this film I think looks nicer than Homecoming, so what do we go with here?
For me, it's Homecoming. Oh yeah, Maria Hill is a Skrull. For me, it's like Homecoming is definitely better than this for me. After I saw it, I was like, okay, it made some improvements, so maybe they're on the same level. But no, I think rewatching them again, I like more of Homecoming than I do of this. As much as it is a visual improvement. But yeah, I wonder what they're setting up with this.
I don't know, because it feels... Isn't this more Captain Marvel stuff than anything else?
Yeah, I don't really know where they're going with it, because they've not addressed it since.
I mean, they don't know what future. I mean, I guess No Way Home could address it.
Oh wait, no, they addressed it briefly in WandaVision. I forgot. I forget. Like at the very end, there is like a scroll thing mentioned. So I forget about that. but yeah, that's the only time they've addressed it since. I wonder what they're building to. Secret invasion, maybe? I don't know. I no idea.
For Invasion of the Body Snatchers type things where they're replacing the population one by one.
That's a big arc in the comics. Is Secret Invasion? It's yeah. There's the famous image of Captain America as a Skrull and everything. It's like they've taken over. So yeah, who knows? Oh, that's nice. A dedication.
I like that. Yeah, dedicated to nice.
Oh, for fuck's sake, though! Like a giant Sony logo below it. That's kind of gross.
I mean, I don't know. Are they legally obligated to put their logo at the
They are, but you could have done that on a separate screen, like transition it, not just have it right. Anyway, that was a weird note to end this commentary on. I hope you've enjoyed the commentary, everyone. Now we're done with the live-action Spider-Man films, but we're not quite done yet because we've still got one more to go. So, what are we going to be doing next week, Isaac?
We are going to be looking at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, we are, and I cannot wait for that. That should be so much fun to talk through that film. And
it will be our first animated film that we've covered on here.
Oh God, you're right. That's quite surprising, actually, being an animated film. Oh, okay, cool. That's a good one to start off with. So, yes, see you next time for that. In the meantime, go and subscribe to Isaac's channel, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.